Doshtilik, and greetings everyone. It's wonderful to be here with all of the great speakers and all of you here. Without further ado, my topic was Buddhist wisdom in modern life, I believe. I didn't really have much time to think about this or to prepare for this, but I'll just share a few thoughts that I usually carry on this topic. So first of all, I would like to say that when we talk about Buddhist wisdom, well, it should be an understanding of the teachings taught by the Buddha. And usually we often complicate things because we think that, the Buddha taught so many teachings and it's so difficult, it's so profound. But actually, if you know the essence of what the Buddha taught, it doesn't have to be that complicated. So, of course, the Buddha taught so many teachings, but when you wrap it all up, I believe it falls into two main points. And that is that if you are able to, you should benefit beings, you should help others. And if you are unable to do that, at least you should refrain from harming others. This is the main essence of the entire Buddhist path, regardless of being, Theravada, Mahayana, or Vajrayana. All of the Buddhist practices fall into one of these two categories. And so, therefore, and among these two, what is really important, what's most important, is the teaching of the Buddha in which the Buddha taught us to cultivate a kind heart, a compassionate heart. So of course there are many practices, but it all falls into, what's mostly important is the intention in the Buddhist path. And when we talk about practicing Buddhism in the modern world, in one's modern life, we have to remember that when we talk about Buddhist practice, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to sit cross-legged in a room with your eyes shut in the meditation posture. It doesn't necessarily need to be a formal type of meditation or Buddhist practice. Buddhist practice can be applied into any moment in one's daily life. Even what may seemingly appear on the outward appearance as a non-dharmic action can be a dharmic action or a dharma practice if the motivation behind that action is correct. And so it's really difficult to tell who is practicing the Buddha's teachings, because it's a practicing is can only be told or estimated, I guess you could say, based on the thought. You cannot really say. There can be many Buddhist so-called practitioners, who are on the outward appearance. They look like, very seasoned Dharma practitioners, very calm, gentle, smiling, very peaceful looking. But you really don't know what's going on in their mind. You can't tell if they have anger within their mind, or if they have strong attachment within their mind, or jealousy. These are all, inside. You cannot tell. So therefore, what really matters is the intention in the practice. And so you can do this in any kind of work you do. It doesn't need to be like all very strict and following a certain kind of custom. If in your daily life, whatever work you do, if you do it with a very kind heart, with very sincere thoughts, that itself can be a Buddhist practice, right? And so what I believe is that the Buddha's teachings can be applied by anyone, regardless, whether they are Buddhist or not. Some people believe that Buddhism is a religion, or maybe it's a philosophy, but I like to see it more as a correct way of living, right? A way of living with wisdom. And so therefore there is a saying by Sakya Pandita in the Sakya lecture, which goes as, jigden dida parogi dewa drupa sherabi, which means that what is wisdom? It is accomplishing happiness for not only this life, but this life and the next. And so here's the important thing. We all, important fact of our life. Everyone wants to be happy and no one wants to suffer. But the problem is that we are always chasing after our suffering and we are always distancing ourselves from our happiness. We push it away, even though this is not what we exactly want. And this was taught by Shantideva in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. And the reason why we do this is because we do not understand the correct causes for happiness. We want happiness, but we don't know what leads to happiness. We do not want suffering, but we do not understand what are the causes of suffering, and therefore we always create those causes. And so therefore, when we practice on the Buddhist path, we need to have an understanding. It should be based on the law of karma. And when we understand the law of karma, how there's the connection between the causes and their results, the results and their correct causes and conditions, then based on that understanding, there's going to be a very good chance that we will know how to live a correct life. Because we will be careful, we will be vigilant, and we will find a need based on the understanding that we need to create good deeds and we should refrain from committing negative deeds. I'm sure there's much more to share. We can eventually come out during the discussion. So I would like to pass it to the next speaker.